Ladies and gentlemen, it is official. We got class changes, and I got to say I was not expecting this news today. And by today, I mean 4 in the morning in the middle of my Diablo 4 gaming session. We are getting hot news fresh right off the press from the developers. Big class changes that are coming into effect immediately, the KFC rewards in-game, and Twitch Prime rewards that are coming tomorrow, as well as more developer updates. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, that the Comeback Kids are doing a ton of giveaways coming in the month of July, including Razor products, as well as an ultimate physical collector's edition of Diablo 4. So if you're interested in earning any of these products, please be sure to stick around until the end of the video to see how you have the potential of winning these. Now, before we dive into the news, a quick word from our sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Bloodline Heroes of Lifeless, and I'm happy to say that this game has one of the most unique gacha gameplays I've ever seen, and of course the game has stunning visuals. Download and try the game for free using my link or scan the QR code and receive an amazing starter pack. Now is the time to start playing, as Bloodline is giving away tons of rewards all month long during its 1-year anniversary event in June. Claim free summons, diamonds, and abundant resources simply by logging in. Collect new bloodlines every fortnight with unique abilities for each gender. Customize them by marrying any 2 bloodlines to create over 1,000 fantasy hybrids and endless possibilities for your lineup strategies. New characters can be obtained not only by summoning, but also by breeding with companions and capturing prisoners. With the latest bloodline being the Titan Warriors, they are enforcers of Iron Will of Olympus. Also, you have the 9-tailed Vulpins who come from an eastern land of mysterious power. Deploy your team of hybrids into a vast and realistic fantasy world with stunning visuals, and the hybrids inherit not only the talents and traits of their parents, but also their unique appearances, passed down from each family tree and fused into one. All players can obtain uniquely designed hybrid champions called Bloodcraft Legends by earning points in seasonal guild wars. Raise heirs, build your own kingdom, and engage in beautiful scenes and interesting storylines. New bloodlines and legendary hybrids are constantly being released into the game, so your possibilities are endless to find the right bloodline for you. Download the game now for free on both Android and iOS using my link in the description below and get the Anniversary Starter Pack, which is worth $20. The first 30 players to leave their in-game account ID and username in the first pinned comment section below will also receive a free legendary female Titan Warrior. Starting things off hot, if you or someone you know has been debating on getting Diablo 4 or waiting until the reviews came in, I think the debate is officially over. Rod Ferguson put out a tweet the other day showing all the reviews for the biggest gaming companies on the planet, giving absolute outstanding reviews on Diablo 4. IGN rating at a 9 out of 10, and Gaming Trend and Windows Central, as well as CG Magazine, giving it a perfect 10 out of 10. On top of it all, for the most part, the Diablo 4 launch was a very big success and very stable when it comes to, the server stability as well as infrastructure and smoothness. Now, obviously, everyone knows about the PlayStation console launch drama, but after about an hour, all of that was about being settled, and things were pretty much smooth like butter after that. Ladies and gentlemen, I think it actually seems as if we have a serious contender for Game of the Year on our hands with Diablo 4 if the developers keep it up like this. And the thing is we haven't even begun to scratch the surface on what this game's potential can truly be. We aren't even experiencing the best part of Diablo, which is the end game grind of getting those unique and ancestral items to really skyrocket you in power and change your builds drastically to bring you endless fun of dozens of builds on a total of 5 different classes. And if you want my honest opinion, this game has been nothing but a smash hit so far the last few days, and it seems like it's going to stay that way for some time to come. We also got some rewards that are here, ladies and gentlemen, and we wanted to give you a first look at them. Now, we've spoke about the KFC rewards over the last few weeks, and we actually got to look at their in-game visual appearance. And as you can see, the in-game items are on screen here, and all this comes from the KFC rewards from purchasing chicken sandwiches from their app and connecting it to your Battle.net account to redeem. Now, personally for me, the price tag for all these cosmetics is starting to add up a little bit too much, so I'm going to have to pass on them myself. But if you have the extra money and the hungry stomach for some chicken, I think there's no better option to just simply swing by a KFC, order through the app, give yourself the satisfaction of running around in Sanctuary with these awesome cosmetics on you. We also have the Twitch drops as well as rewards for the support of streamer programs starting tomorrow, June 5th. You're going to have 4 different sets of drops throughout the entirety of the month of June, and access to the Primal Instinct mount, which you earn by gifting an eligible channel on Twitch 2 subscriptions of any tier. It's also important to note, ladies and gentlemen, that this does not count toward your Amazon Prime free subscription. It's going to have to come directly out of your pocket. Okay, now, ladies and gentlemen, moving on to the big headline of today, which is going to be the class changes that hit the server just a few moments ago. The developers state that they made some class balance changes and want to provide their reasoning behind them. They state they're quite happy with the performance of most classes, but they aren't settled just yet. Their goal is to create a better balance and enjoyable experience across the board. These updates for them fall under 3 different categories. Number 1 is that they want players to feel truly powerful. Some class builds and synergies are outside of bounds from what is reasonable for the health of the end game. They state that they generally want to avoid creating situations where players can survive unreasonably high amounts of damage for long periods of time because it warps how combat should be in Diablo 4. Number 2 is that some skills and builds are not as effective as they would like, so they're pushing out some buffs to increase their strength. And number 3 is that the Paragon Glyphs are currently providing too much player power, so their effectiveness is being reduced overall. Starting off with your Conan the Barbarian, and it looks like you guys are getting some fine tuning. Challenging Shout's damage reduction is being reduced from the further skill rank, increased from 4% down to 2%, and some of their legendary aspects are being changed as well. The Bold Chieftain's aspect is being nerfed on its cooldown reduction by over half, as well as the maximum cooldown reduction you can acquire from it as well. They're also nerfing aspect of the Dire Whirlwind from the critical strike chance per second, going from 5 to 10% down to 3 to 8%. And the maximum critical strike chance bonus is being reduced from a maximum of 40% all the way down to 24%. It's also now official that the Barbarian's Whirlwind unique is now re-enabled, but with a serious catch. This unique is being absolutely gutted, and you need to be aware of it. The explosion damage gained from Whirlwind is being reduced from a maximum of 70% down to a whopping 26%. And the explosion damage is only now being increased by the first 100 hits of Whirlwind now. Previously, what players were doing before was just stacking this ability endlessly on materials, boxes, and minions over and over again, and it would just deal millions of damage in one giant explosion. Now, once again, ladies and gentlemen, it's no shocker that Shouts and Whirlwind Barbarian is by far the strongest build for Barbarian in the endgame, so these changes and fine-tuning isn't something that is too shocking to most of the player base. Moving on to the Druid. Pulverizer's lucky hit chance is being reduced from 33% down to 25%, and Lightning Storm's damage is now being buffed from 32% to 40%. Grizzly Rage is being buffed on the damage department slightly, and the Druid Spirit Boons are being nerfed with Obsidian Slam's overpower bonus being now requiring 20 kills instead of 10, and the lucky hit chance on Call Before the Storm being reduced from 15% to 10%. Their Electric Shock lucky hit passive is also being buffed as well, with the damage bonus being increased from 15% to 18% at its maximum rank. The Werebear legendary Shockwave aspect is being nerfed from 130% maximum damage all the way down to 100%. Earth Druid's Crash Stone aspect critical strike damage being reduced from a maximum of 50% down to 40%. And once again, Lightning Druid is now being buffed on their Lightning Dancers aspect, scaling on their base weapon damage being increased from 0.6% all the way up to 0.8%. So I will say, if you're an Earth or Werebear based Druid, it looks like you were just seeing some fine-tuning and nerfs. But if you're a Storm Druid, be ready because things just got a whole lot better. Moving along now to the Necromancer, it seems that the very awful Blood Lance ability is actually getting buffed, with the damage being increased from 67.5% all the way up to 80%. I personally think that this still isn't going to be enough, and the ability might just need a rework overall. We then have Army of the Dead's damage being increased from 30% to 45%, and the cooldown being reduced by 20 seconds as well. And lastly, for their skill changes, we have Blood Wave being buffed from 90% base weapon damage all the way up to 120%. The Shadowblight Capstone talent is being buffed by 2% damage, and the Grim Harvest Essence generation passive from using corpses is being nerfed from a maximum of 9 per corpse down to 6. Serration, which is the critical strike chance for essence you have, is being reduced from 1.5% to 0.9%. Minion survivability is also being buffed, with Death's Defense passive being now to where your minions can only lose a maximum of 30% of their life in one single damage instance. Skeletal Warriors and Golems attack damage is being increased by 10%, and Blood Golem's life drain is being buffed from 40% to 90%, And the Blood Golem's drain healing from enemies hit is being increased from 4% to 5%. And the very big buff from Iron Golem, their slam damage is being buffed from 25% to a whopping 175% damage increase. Iron Golem's shockwave damage is also being increased from 30% to 40%, and the Necromancer's Paragon board is also getting changes based around minion builds as well, with Hulking Monstrosity's Golem life and damage bonus getting increased from 30% to 40%, and Cult Leader, where your minions are now going from 10% to 15% increased damage per active minion type you have out. Now, everybody knows that the Bone Necromancer is outperforming almost every build right now by far, so instead of nerfing the Bone Necromancer into the dirt, they actually buffed other builds to try to keep them all on the same playing field. Minion Necromancer also has been performing very low, so these are nothing but great changes for Diablo 4 moving forward. Now, this is going to come at no surprise to anyone, but Twisting Blades is officially getting nerfed. That's right, because Twisting Blades' cooldown reduction per enemy hit is getting reduced from 0.25 seconds to 0.1 seconds. It's going from a maximum cooldown reduction as well from 3 seconds total down to 2 seconds. And as a rogue main, if you want my honest opinion, Twisting Blades is outperforming every core skill for the rogue right now, and it can be easily utilized in every single build, which definitely required it to be tuned up a bit. Rapid Fire's damage was increased from each arrow dealing 24% now to 30%. Shout out to my Frost Archer Mystic out there. Dark Shroud being nerfed on damage reduction per shadow gain from skill ranks being reduced from 0.8% to 0.4%. And Dash's critical strike damage bonus being reduced from 20% down to 15%. And lastly, Caltrep's damage being buffed from 30% all the way up to 40%. Now, when it comes to the concussive passive, it's also being nerfed as well, which happens when you knock down an enemy and your critical strike damage will then be increased and is now being reduced from 15% down to 12%. Now, for Blizzard's pride and joy, the Sorcerer, we have Arc Lash's lucky hit chance is being reduced from 30% to 14%, and Glinting Arc Lash's cooldown reduction is now being reduced from 0.25 seconds to 0.15 seconds. Shimmering Teleport's damage reduction duration is now also being reduced from 5 seconds down to 3 seconds, and the Aspect of Control legendary affects for everyone is being reduced from 30% additional damage down to 35% maximum. Lastly, they went over some general changes with Druid companions and Necromancer minions, having their maximum damage over time taken per instance being reduced from 2% to 1% of their maximum life, once again increasing minion survivability. The Paragon board is getting additional changes as well, with Rare Node player attack speed now being reduced by 50%. And then this is where things get very interesting, ladies and gentlemen, coming from the glyphs, which are being heavily nerfed. All glyph bonus scaling has been reduced by 34%, except for critical strike damage glyphs, which is now the bonus is reduced by 66%, and vulnerable glyphs being reduced by 66%. And lastly, glyph bonuses to rare, magic, cold, fire, lightning, non-physical, and physical nodes being reduced massively. And for Blizzard, to give a nice little cherry on top of it all, the spawn rate of treasure goblins has been significantly now reduced. So an absolute ton of balance changes coming into the class discussion for Diablo 4. Now, if you want my personal opinions, I do think some of the issues with the classes needed to be addressed. Like the fact that Necromancer's strongest build by far was the Bone Necromancer build, and I still think that they should rework the Blood Lance ability as a whole. And honestly, I'm very happy that they buffed the minions across the board as well to try to equal everything out. And I also think that the Shotgun Charged Bolts Lightning Sorcerer spec is very strong, and it does still need to be addressed as well. Lastly, the Whirlwind Barbarian needed to be tuned down. It was literally broken and needed to be fixed, you know, with the millions of damage coming out with the unique armor piece. All in all, though, I think all these decisions that they've made are for the betterment of the game, including the nerfs to my main class spec, which is the Twisting Blade Rogue, which I was honestly begging and pleading for nerfs because it was honestly just way too strong with the cooldown reduction on all my abilities. Overall, ladies and gentlemen, I think Blizzard is doing their absolute best to keep the service stability high, as well as class balance being in check. Yeah, there have been some hiccups here or there with the server stability, but listen, not anything major like the disaster that was the open beta weekend. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, that the Comeback Kids are doing a ton of giveaways in the month of July, so if you want to opt in for the giveaways, be sure to click subscribe and like the video, as well as enter yourself in the description down below. Don't forget, we have a ton more news and build videos coming in the months to come for Diablo 4, so be on the lookout for that as well. I want to thank you all so much for watching this video. It's an absolute pleasure to be making content for you all. Until the very end, My name's Sky from the Comeback Kids, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.